Ever wondered how medieval people enjoyed crisp, flavorful pickles year-round without a single refrigerator? These ingenious preservation masters developed techniques so effective that their pickles stayed fresh for over a year and often tasted better than modern refrigerated versions. Here are the techniques. Salt-brine fermentation. Medieval pickle makers discovered that salt concentration was the key to perfect preservation. They created precise brine solutions using sea salt or rock salt, typically maintaining a 3 to 5% salt concentration that encouraged beneficial bacteria while preventing harmful microorganisms from thriving. The process involved dissolving coarse salt in well water, creating a brine strong enough to make an egg float. Their foolproof measurement system that ensured consistent results every time. Vinegar acidification process. Medieval artisans perfected vinegar-based pickling that created shelf-stable vegetables lasting 12 to 18 months without refrigeration. They used homemade vinegars from wine, ale, or fruit that contained 4 to 6% acetic acid, strong enough to kill harmful bacteria while preserving food safely. The process involved heating vinegar with salt, herbs, and spices to create a preserving solution that penetrated deep into vegetable tissues. Medieval cooks understood that hot vinegar opened vegetable pores, allowing the acidic solution to reach the core and create complete preservation from inside out, producing superior results. Oil-sealed jar storage. Medieval preservation experts discovered that olive oil created an impenetrable barrier against air and moisture, keeping pickled vegetables fresh for extraordinary periods. This technique involved layering prepared vegetables in ceramic jars, then covering everything with a thick layer of high-quality oil that sealed out harmful bacteria. The oil sealing method worked because it created an anaerobic environment where spoilage bacteria couldn't survive. Medieval cooks learned that different oils provided different benefits. Olive oil offered the best preservation and added rich flavor, while nut oils from walnuts or hazelnuts created unique taste combinations. Preparation required careful attention to moisture removal, with vegetables first salted and drained before packing. Clay crock systems. Medieval potters created specialized clay crocks that naturally regulated temperature and humidity for perfect pickle storage. These earthenware vessels with thick walls and tight-fitting lids maintained consistent, cool temperatures even during summer heat waves. The clay crock system worked through natural evaporation, cooling, with porous clay walls allowing tiny amounts of moisture to seep through and evaporate, creating a cooling effect that kept internal temperatures 10 to 15 degrees lower than surrounding air. Medieval craftsmen designed crocks with specific features for optimal pickle storage. Wide mouths for easy packing, narrow necks to reduce air exposure, and interior glazing to prevent absorption of flavors. The clay composition itself contained natural minerals that inhibited bacterial growth. Size variations accommodated different needs, from large monastery crocks holding 50 to 100 gallons to small household versions storing 2 to 5 gallons for family use. Underground root cellars. Medieval builders created sophisticated underground storage systems that maintained perfect temperatures for long-term pickle preservation. These root cellars, dug 6 to 8 feet deep, naturally maintained temperatures between -55 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, ideal for keeping pickles fresh without any external cooling. Construction required careful site selection and engineering, with builders choosing locations with good drainage, stable soil, and natural insulation from tree roots or hillsides. They lined walls with stones or timber, created ventilation systems for air circulation, and installed drainage channels to prevent flooding. The underground environment provided multiple preservation benefits. Consistent, cool temperatures prevented over-fermentation, high humidity levels prevented drying out, and darkness protected nutrients from light degradation. Medieval root cellars included specialized storage areas with stone shelving for ceramic jars, sand-filled bins for root vegetables, and hanging areas for cloth-wrapped pickle bundles. Ventilation systems were engineering marvels that controlled airflow without compromising temperature stability, creating gentle air circulation that prevented mold growth while maintaining optimal humidity levels for perfect preservation. Layered salt packing. Medieval preservation masters perfected layered salt packing techniques that drew moisture from vegetables while creating protective barriers against spoilage. This dry curing method involved alternating layers of vegetables and coarse salt in wooden barrels or ceramic crocks, creating perfectly preserved pickles without any liquid brines. The layering process required precise salt-to-vegetable ratios that medieval cooks calculated by weight and experience. Too little salt allowed spoilage, while too much created overly salty, inedible results. Master pickle makers developed measuring techniques using handfuls, cups, and visual guides that ensured consistent results, batch after batch. Different salt types produced varying results that medieval artisans exploited for specific outcomes. Coarse sea salt drew moisture efficiently while adding mineral complexity. Fine rock salt penetrated deeper into vegetable tissues, and flavored salts infused with herbs or spices created unique taste profiles during the curing process. The packing technique itself was an art form, with vegetables arranged in careful patterns that maximized salt contact while preventing crushing. Heavy stones or wooden weights pressed layers together, forcing moisture, extraction, and salt penetration, creating natural brines as vegetable juices mix with salt to form protective liquid barriers. Herb-infused preservation. Medieval herbalists discovered that certain plants contained powerful natural preservatives that kept pickles fresh while adding extraordinary flavors. They created complex herb blends that prevented spoilage, enhanced taste, and provided medicinal benefits that supported health during long winters. Dill became the most famous pickling herb because it contained natural compounds that inhibited harmful bacteria while complementing vegetable flavors perfectly. Medieval gardens always included extensive dill plantings specifically for pickle production, with fresh dill heads, seeds, and leaves used at different stages to create layered flavor profiles. Other preservation herbs included bay leaves, which contained antimicrobial oils that prevented mold growth, horseradish leaves and roots that provided natural antibiotics, killing dangerous bacteria, and garlic cloves that released allicin compounds, creating hostile environments for spoilage organisms, while adding intense, complex flavors. Medieval herbalists developed regional herb blends that became closely guarded family secrets. German pickle makers favored mustard seeds and caraway. French artisans preferred tarragon and thyme combinations, while English recipes featured sage and rosemary mixtures. The herb infusing process involved careful timing and placement, with some herbs added during initial packing for deep flavor penetration, others layered throughout containers for gradual release, and surface herbs, creating protective barriers that prevented contamination from air exposure. Stone weight pressing. Medieval pickle makers used heavy stone weights to create perfect pressing systems that expelled excess moisture while maintaining ideal texture and preventing spoilage. These carefully selected stones, often passed down through generations, were essential tools that determined pickle quality and preservation success. The pressing process began with selecting proper stones, smooth, non-porous materials that wouldn't absorb flavors or harbor bacteria. Granite and slate were preferred because they provided consistent pressure without contaminating pickles, with medieval craftsmen often carving custom pressing stones with handles or grooves for easy handling. Weight calculations were crucial for different vegetable types, as delicate vegetables like cucumbers required lighter pressure to prevent crushing while still expelling moisture, while dense vegetables like cabbage needed heavier stones to break down cell walls and release juices. Experienced pickle makers judged proper pressure by sound, appearance, and feel rather than precise measurements. The pressing timeline varied by season and desired results. Summer pressing required 2 to 4 days to remove moisture quickly before spoilage began, while winter pressing could extend to 1 to 2 weeks, allowing gradual moisture removal and flavor development. Some pickle varieties required multiple pressing stages with different stone weights. Proper pressing created several preservation benefits simultaneously. Moisture removal prevented bacterial growth, compressed vegetables developed concentrated flavors, expelled juices mixed with salt and spices to create natural preserving brines, and the firm texture achieved through pressing maintained vegetable crispness for months. Controlled fermentation. Timing. Medieval fermentation experts developed sophisticated timing systems that controlled pickle development with remarkable precision, creating perfect texture and flavor without any modern temperature controls or monitoring equipment. They used natural indicators and traditional knowledge to manage fermentation stages that produced consistently excellent results. Temperature management relied on seasonal awareness and strategic placement. Summer fermentation occurred in cool cellars or shaded areas to prevent over-rapid development, while winter fermentation moved to warmer locations near hearths or in sunny windows. Medieval pickle makers understood that controlled temperature changes created superior flavor development compared to constant conditions. Visual and sensory indicators guided fermentation timing decisions, with bubble formation signaling active fermentation stages, color changes indicating proper acid development, aroma evolution revealing fermentation progress, and taste testing at specific intervals determining optimal stopping points for different pickle varieties. Medieval communities developed fermentation calendars that coordinated pickle production with lunar cycles, weather patterns, and seasonal activities. They believed moon phases influenced fermentation success, timing major batches during favorable lunar periods. These traditional timing systems often produced more consistent results than modern controlled methods. Different vegetables required unique fermentation schedules that medieval artisans memorized and perfected over lifetimes. Quick vegetables like radishes fermented in 3 to 5 days. Medium vegetables like carrots required 1 to 2 weeks, while dense vegetables like turnips needed 3 to 4 weeks for complete development. This controlled timing created pickles with perfect balance, sufficient fermentation for preservation and flavor development without overprocessing that created mushy textures or overly sour tastes. Multi-stage curing process. Medieval preservation masters developed complex multi-stage curing processes that created incredibly sophisticated pickles through carefully orchestrated phases of treatment. These elaborate systems produced pickles with extraordinary depth, complexity, and keeping power that far exceeded simple single-stage preservation methods. The first stage involved initial preparation, cleaning, cutting, and preliminary salting that prepared vegetables for deeper processing. This stage removed surface bacteria, began moisture extraction, and opened vegetable tissues for better preservative penetration. Duration varied from hours for delicate vegetables to days for dense root vegetables. Second stage processing introduced primary preservation elements, brines, vinegars, or dry curing mixtures that began serious preservation work. This phase established the fundamental preservation chemistry that would protect pickles during long storage periods. Medieval artisans carefully monitored progress through visual, aromatic, and texture changes. Third stage refinement added complex, flavoring elements, and final preservation adjustments. Herb additions, spice layering, and oil sealing occurred during this phase. The timing required expert judgment based on vegetable response, seasonal conditions, and intended storage duration. Final stage maturation occurred during storage, where flavors melded, textures perfected, and preservation chemistry reached optimal levels. Medieval pickle makers understood that the best pickles required weeks or months of careful aging to develop their full potential. This multi-stage approach created pickles with incredible complexity, layers of flavor that revealed themselves over time, textures that remained perfect for months, and preservation power that kept food safe for years without any modern technology or chemical additives. Master pickle makers guarded their multi-stage recipes as valuable trade secrets, passing down precise timing and technique knowledge through generations of skilled artisans. Wooden barrel aging systems. Medieval craftsmen perfected wooden barrel aging systems that transformed ordinary pickles into extraordinary delicacies through controlled interaction with specific wood types. These barrel systems created unique flavor profiles while providing superior preservation compared to other storage methods. Oak barrels were most prized because oak wood contained natural tannins that acted as preservatives while imparting complex, wine-like flavors to pickled vegetables. The wood's porous structure allowed controlled air exchange that promoted beneficial fermentation. While preventing harmful bacterial growth, different oak varieties produced distinct results. White oak created mellow, sweet undertones, while red oak added robust, earthy flavors. Medieval barrel makers understood that wood preparation was crucial for successful pickle aging. New barrels required seasoning with salt water for several months to remove harsh wood flavors and seal the grain structure. Used wine or beer barrels brought additional flavor complexity from previous contents. creating pickles with sophisticated taste profiles that commanded premium prices in medieval markets. The barrel aging process involved careful rotation schedules that ensured even flavor development throughout the pickle batch. Barrels were turned weekly during active fermentation, then monthly during long-term aging. Temperature control relied on strategic placement, cool cellars for slow, complex development, or warmer areas for faster processing when needed. Medieval pickle masters developed barrel hierarchies using the finest oak barrels for premium vegetables destined for noble tables, while common vegetables aged in simpler wood containers. The aging timeline varied dramatically based on desired outcomes. Quick pickles spent 2 to 4 weeks in barrels for basic flavor enhancement, while premium aged pickles remained in oak for 6 to 12 months, developing incredible complexity that modern industrial processes cannot replicate. Natural air drying techniques. Medieval preservation experts mastered natural air drying techniques that concentrated vegetable flavors while creating pickles with extraordinary shelf life. These methods relied on controlled dehydration that removed moisture without destroying nutritional value or texture. The air drying process began with careful vegetable preparation, uniform cutting to ensure even drying, salt pretreatment to draw out initial moisture, and strategic arrangement on specially designed drying racks. Medieval craftsmen built drying chambers with precise ventilation systems that controlled airflow, humidity, and temperature without any mechanical equipment. These chambers featured adjustable vents, humidity-absorbing materials like charcoal or lime, and positioning that maximized natural air circulation while protecting vegetables from direct sunlight that could cause overheating. Wind patterns were carefully studied and utilized, with drying chambers oriented to capture prevailing breezes that accelerated moisture removal. Different vegetables required specific drying conditions that medieval artisans perfected through generations of experimentation. Leafy vegetables needed gentle, constant airflow to prevent wilting, while root vegetables required stronger circulation to penetrate dense tissues. Seasonal timing was crucial. Dry autumn air produced the best results, while humid summer conditions required additional preparation and longer processing times. The drying process created concentrated flavors that intensified over time, producing pickles with remarkable taste complexity. These air-dried pickles could be stored for years without spoilage, reconstituted with water or brines when needed, or eaten directly as concentrated flavor enhancers. Many medieval communities relied on air-dried pickles as portable nutrition sources during long journeys, military campaigns, or extended winter periods when fresh food was unavailable. The technique required no fuel, special equipment, or expensive materials, making it accessible to all social classes while producing results that often surpassed more elaborate preservation methods. These medieval preservation techniques proved that our ancestors achieved remarkable food storage without modern technology. Their methods often produced superior results, better flavors, longer shelf life, and higher nutritional value than today's industrial processes. Many of these techniques can still be used in modern kitchens for those seeking natural chemical preservation methods, ready to discover more ancient secrets that outperform modern technology. Subscribe to our channel for weekly deep dives into forgotten wisdom that can transform your life today.